con él.
Si algo se nota diferente, podría ser Alzheimer. Es momento de hablarlo. Visita AL.org diagonal nuestras historias para saber más. Un mensaje de The Alzheimer's Association y the Ad Council.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to tonight and sleep.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path.
Sponsored by DHHS and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane who's as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Public schools are the cornerstones of our communities, and it's communities that ensure students have great public schools. I'm Jenny Benson, president of Nebraska State Education Association. Learning happens at home, in school, and everywhere in between. We all have a role to play in supporting student learning in the classroom and beyond. Help us make this the best school year yet.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcast Association in this station.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me, and
let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
It's Stop, a message by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Neil Armstrong waited 6 hours and 39 minutes to step onto the surface of the moon. Jackie Robinson waited 20 months to play his first game with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And even DiCaprio had to wait 22 years to win an Oscar. You can wait until your destination. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Hey, you got any gum?
Yeah, check my backpack.
What's this?
Oh, that's naloxone. It can reverse an opioid overdose. I decided to always keep an obby after my friend almost died. It saved his life.
I'm so sorry. That makes me want to have it with you too.
You totally should. Check the pharmacy. It was actually really easy to get and it's easy to use.
I definitely will. Thanks.
Paid for by the CDC. Sponsored by the DHHS, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
I'm Jamek. I served in the United States times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is "My job is people, everyone is my business." But unfortunately, in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jackamick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. At KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Bigger Than the Score with Peter Ferguson from Lincoln Public Schools on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey, good morning and welcome to 93.7 The Ticket. This is Bigger Than the Score, Pete Ferguson with Pete Ferguson DHS LLC and Lincoln Public Schools. Excited to be here this morning. We survived Snowmageddon, I think, for first one of 2023. How about that, Harrison?
That's how it goes, right? Every time everyone thinks they're out of the woods, it's like you got to wait till February is over. You got to even get through a little bit of April.
Well,
There's always something.
I think there's some young ones out here that don't remember. I think it was, I can't remember. It must have been 10, maybe 15 years ago, March. that it blanketed us. And I remember there were like walls of snow when you're going down O Street because they had no place to put it. I got to look it up and when exactly that was, but I remember it was like I think it just dumped on us in March, and it
I
was
think
just
you're right. 'Cause I think I was pretty young,
easy,
obviously.
easy there, easy there. This man just had a birthday. Now you're starting to go with the young one thing.
But I think that was everywhere. 'Cause I think up in Northeast Nebraska we got dumped on too. Like I think Nebraska was just under snow that winter.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever too late to recognize that there's going to be a storm at some point in time. I think everybody just doesn't want it to happen on Halloween. 'Cause I remember that year that Halloween was canceled,
Yeah.
because of that ice storm and everything else. So how you been doing this week?
It's been great. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of cool things going on. Basketball's starting to heat up a little bit. There's quite a few good ones. I think we just called a game between Southeast and Northeast.
Yeah.
For girls teams, I think they're both ranked. So yeah, there's been a lot of cool stuff going on. Obviously, college hoops too is heating up a little bit. Nebraska basketball. Unfortunately, the girls yesterday we talked a little bit over the
Yeah,
break.
yeah.
They fell a little bit short. They just really never got it going. But the crowd definitely showed up. And then guys, they played Maryland today at 4, so they got a chance here to really like. I feel bad because I was at a point when they lost 2 of their starters.
Yeah, I
I'm
remember
sitting
we
there
were going
looking
there
at the
like,
schedule, like
yeah.
I don't know if they're going to win another game, and now here they are, just knocking off Big Ten opponents left and right. So
Well, you get that opportunity, and I think some of them have gotten into little different roles, and I think when you look at just like college athletics in general, almost all those young men and young women were starters,
yeah,
and played all the time, and so it's oftentimes a huge adjustment, and people think, oh, they're not that good. They're not. I mean, I even watch like when you're watching programs, oh, they just can't get no minutes. All those individuals were superstars at points in their careers. And so, I think, they get in that mode. It's kind of familiar and it's not that far removed. And they're like, okay, man, this is my moment. And so I think sometimes when they get those chances, all of a sudden you start seeing things that people start, well, they didn't develop the way we thought they would, and this, that, and the other. And so they got there for a reason.
yeah,
And they didn't just get asked because, hey, we need a body and we want to give some money. And so it's nice to see some of them kind of take advantage of that opportunity and the roles that they get. And we'll see how long that lasts.
yeah, and I got a good feeling it seems like it's going to keep lasting. Like
Yeah.
you said, it's kind of everyone on the team. Like the depth of this roster, I was always worried about. And
Right.
now here, those guys are getting the most minutes, and they're starting to win games here down the stretch. Like Sam Hoiberg, one of them, especially being the coach's kid,
Right, right.
and then still playing at that level to overcome like those doubts. Because I think there was a Michigan State game, and Tom Izzo's kid was out there playing,
Yeah.
and like it was different watching him and Sam Hoiberg. Like Sam Hoiberg looks like he's belonged, and now with the minutes on top of it, it's really just cool to see him, like not only him but the rest of those bench players, like get roles and really kind of flourish. And it's cool to see, and it's kind of bigger than the score too, right? Name of the show, like with that development we see. And those college players, the same thing kind of happens in high school. So we'll hear great stories about some of the athletes as well here in Lincoln. And again, if you guys want to join the show, Starter Heyman text line 402-464-5685. You can join the conversation that way. And if you want to put a voice to the face, you can watch us. We're streaming on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook as well. So you can definitely reach the show that way. But we got a little bit of time left. So Pete, why don't you go ahead and lay out what we have ahead here?
Yeah, we want to just kind of give some credit too. You said things were heating up, even though the weather outside might be frightful. So, but we just we had state wrestling this weekend, and a lot of momentum with that came with that, but also some firsts. It was the first time that the females had their wrestling, and it was combined with the boys, and I think a really tremendous opportunity. I didn't get to go up, but they just said it was a really electric atmosphere. And we had Jack Baptiste on, and so he ended up becoming I believe he got third from
Okay.
Southwest. And so I want to just give a shout out to those who gave their time on Sunday mornings, and Gabe Turman is a 2-time back-to-back state champ at East High School, and Ivan Ilum over at Rocket Wrestling. I know we had a couple individuals from there. He got 6, and so just kind of really cool. Hope. I know Hope over there at Southeast. Came in early, had that opportunity, and got to wrestle. And I just think that was a really cool opportunity. I even kind of heard some just some conversation like, man, this keeps growing. We're gonna have to have 2 separate
awesome.
tournaments. So that's really cool. Lincoln Southeast, they got the city boys basketball championship. So that kind of, it's important, but that kind of mythical, championship in a game that kind of came down to this week with just different results and teams playing. And, also we had Emma Brown in here earlier in the week. She plays for our reserve, freshman reserve over at Lincoln High. And so wanted to give her a shout out. I got to go see that reserve game, and their first round game, and it was just cool to see them out on the floor. And we keep talking about supporting those other levels, not just those varsity levels, but making sure we support all those other opportunities. So a lot been going on. We had a couple teams. I don't know if I mentioned that last week that traveled to Orlando for cheer competition. So we had Erica Kirkland in from Lincoln High, and still just kind of at a loss about those 5:30, 6 o'clock workouts, but knowing that they put a lot of time and effort in, and so those teams had success in their travels as well. And so just again, when we talk about this time of year, there's also going to be that transition. We had Callie and Coach Venerable on last week and talked about that transition where we've got those spring sports tryouts coming up. You're seeing baseball in the college ranks, and softball going on, and you got swimming, and so just making sure young people are taking care of themselves. And big volleyball tournaments this weekend up in Omaha and Kansas City, the President's Day tournaments. So just a lot of sports, but activities going on just across not only just the district, but we say the state in our listening area. So congratulations to those show choir individuals, those music, theater, speech and debate. I mean, we can go on and on.
Yeah, and we'll have golf heating up too, which is always kind of one of my favorites. Because I'll tell you what, there's between wrestling and golf, those are two sports I hope to see keep growing. Because we have some really strong golfers. One of the guys I grew up with, Matthew Schaefer, he went to Norfolk, and then he went to Kearney, and then they just demolished their golf program right then and there. So he had to go to community college, and then he's up at South Dakota playing D1. But great golfer, and you're starting to see more and more of those guys coming out of Nebraska. And the same thing with wrestling. We have a lot of good wrestlers, and I know state wrestling's wrapping up. But that's always an interesting one with me because you're talking about the transition. Those wrestlers,
when you're talking about cutting weight and then all of a sudden you're seeing afterwards, and then you're looking at Burger King and McDonald's and all these places. But when you talk about golf, we had Tatum Terwilliger on, who's a manager for one of the basketball teams, but a phenomenal golfer. We got to see her this weekend. Ellie Honens, over at East. And so, I mean, just on that female side, but just, some conversations and some different things going on at PGA Reach. Dave Honens, who's the director of the PGA for Nebraska, is really committed to making sure that game of golf and his staff is getting diversified and additional opportunities. So I'm really excited. I know we're going to have him on, I have him scheduled on here in March, and excited to just hear about what that looks like, not just for traditional, but scholars who haven't had that opportunity to be exposed to the game. For me, I just had a birthday on Friday. It was like ticket birthday kind of week with AD. I know he had a full-on segment, full-on show. The place was decorated. I almost came in to try to steal some of those, but picked that up. I picked it up late in life, and I think if we can get scholars and young people to pick up certain things, it's a lifelong game and opportunity.
Yeah, it's definitely a lifelong. Like you said, unfortunately, it is one of those sports where if you don't have money or you don't have a set of clubs early in life, that's an expensive sport to go do often and frequently. So to let other people do that diversified a little bit. I think that's huge because there's, like I said, I think there's actually quite a bit of really good golfers here in Nebraska. And I think part of it is we have great courses and people just love it out here. I mean, the guy I knew during the winter just on the simulator all day. He just didn't care about the simulator in his mind. So yeah, it'd be really cool if we could see, some other people get to the sport because it's hard to get into. But again, we have a full show ahead. We're going all the way up until 9 o'clock. We're going to have guests on in the next two segments. This is Bigger Than the Score on 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. We'll be back right after this break.
It's a battle of the big cats today in NCAA men's basketball on the ticket as the Memphis Tigers travel to the Lone Star State to take on the second-ranked Houston Cougars. It'll be a homecoming for Memphis point guard Kendrick Davis, who's averaging 21 points and 6 assists as they look to upset the 24-2 Cougars, who are riding a 6-game winning streak. That game tips off at 2 p.m., and you can hear all the action right here on 93.7 The Ticket.
This message is for Karina. Our mom finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. Congratulations on getting your diploma. You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Your high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You told me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you of me.
When you graduate, finish school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free supportive adult education centers near you. The Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Let's thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Paired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
The Ticket Water Cooler.
25 returning in 24/7 sports. Certainly argue that Anthony Grant could be in there. Nobody would bat an eye.
That's just because the Iowa running back ended the season. I don't care about the end of the season. Look at the entire season. Anthony Grant had a great season.
The good news for Nebraska is if Anthony Grant does fall off, A.J. Allen looks like he's going to be there. Then you have Ramir Johnson, who led the team in rushing 2 years ago.
Gabe Irvin, who was your starter 2 years ago.
So, I mean, they've got a great room.
Captain Vershawn Jackson.
You don't get a Amon Green set up in here. We go back 15, 20 years ago. Video games is a picture of a kid or an adult sitting in the basement, lights off by themselves, eating Doritos, drinking Coca-Cola, and all out of shape. And it's different now.
Yeah, you gotta work it out.
It's like you're not working out. So I'm adding in practice sessions in the weight room. We're working out.
Get them, Amon.
We're doing esports camp just like training camp. We're doing 2 a day. We're on the Xboxes. I love PCs. 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours at night.
Veterans, do you know what local, state, and federal benefits and services you receive? Do you want help navigating the application appeals process? Speak to your county veteran service officer at the Department of Veterans Affairs State Service Office. What's available to you and your family. You served our country. Now let us serve you. Visit veterans.nebraska today. On the Department of Veterans Affairs with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association.
I'm Chris Jackimick. I served in the United States Air Force 23 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto, our goal is my job, people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately, in that year, I would lose my own brother, Corporal Adam Jackimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all my service.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Neil Armstrong waited 6 hours and minutes to step onto the surface of the moon. Jackie Robinson waited 20 months to play his first game with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And even DiCaprio had to wait 22 years to win an Oscar. You can wait until your destination. Don't text and drive.
Visit stoptextstoprex.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
This message is for Shauna, my mom who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You told me it's never too late to achieve your dream. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Back to Bigger Than the Score with Peter Ferguson from Lincoln Public Schools on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back to 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score. Looking forward to the next segment. We got 2 scholar athletes here that are kind of riding off into the sunset a little bit. They're not quite done yet, but we've got Rylan Smith, who is a senior at Lincoln Southwest High School. He'll tell you a little bit about himself. And then Cole Haywood, who is also a senior scholar over at Lincoln High School. So how you all doing today? Fantastic. You wait now. I know it's a little bit early. Had a long weekend. A little bit, but glad to have you both here. And so I'm going to start with you, Scholar Haywood. Tell us a little bit about who you are, your journey, where you went to school Have you always been in Lincoln?
Yeah, so like Pete said, I'm a senior at Lincoln High School. I went to Portal Elementary School, Lux Middle School, and then I did 2 years over at East High School. At Lincoln High, I played varsity volleyball, varsity basketball, and on the varsity track team.
Okay, making it happen. So, like, we never bring anybody in here that has extra time. I got to tell you, one time we're going to get somebody here is like, school. That's what I do. How about you, Rylan?
So I'm also a senior, but I go to Lincoln Southwest. For elementary school, I went to Beatty Elementary, and then I went over to Scott, and then now I'm at Lincoln Southwest.
Okay, fantastic. So, tell us a little bit, your athletic. I mean, we'll get into some of the other things, but just a little bit about your athletic journey. So, Scott Haywood, you talked about you're in, multiple different things. I've known your family for a little bit. So, like, what spurred your interest to be involved in sports?
Yeah, so growing up, I was put into literally every single sport. We did soccer, basketball, volleyball, and volleyball kind of just stuck with me. I did club volleyball up until I was 18. So we went to those club tournaments every weekend. We
So
would travel.
President's Day, you know
Yeah.
about this weekend. You're just
Oh my
like,
gosh,
yeah.
the biggest tournament ever. So yeah, we did that. And basically, I just started playing basketball this year, kind of just immersed myself in something different. The diversity at Lincoln High is great. So I just wanted to be a part of that. Growing up, I went to East High School, so I was playing volleyball for East, and I had a knee injury my first year, so that kind of put me that gave me a big setback into my volleyball career. But just kind of getting back training again and finding the love again for the sport, that's kind of what my journey has been, just finding myself again with volleyball. And then once I did, I committed to Hastings College. So
Okay, go Broncos now. I gotta tell Rico, he probably listening or whatever else. He's a Carney fan, but we got a good one. So excited for you to be out there at Hastings College. A little bit, just you talked about like you're involved in different things, and so you got that knee injury. Was volleyball always kind of at the front, basketball, track, or something else?
yeah, my dad wishes basketball was at the front, but yeah, growing up, volleyball has always been the one that I knew that I was gonna play in college. Volleyball was always ahead of all the other sports, but it's nice now that's my senior year to do other stuff. So yeah.
Awesome, fantastic. And so, Rylan, known your family for quite a while, but kind of what's been your kind of athletic journey?
So when I was younger, I also played 3 sports. I played basketball, soccer, and baseball. As a young kid, I would definitely stress play as many sports as you can, and interact with as many people and build relationships. But then when I got to high school, I kind of just focused on basketball. Um, I've also had some injuries. Just this last summer, I tore my meniscus. That kind of set me back a little bit, but I'm healthy now, and it's been good.
Yeah, so you talked about both of you talked about exploring a variety of different things, whether it be athletics or multi-involved. I know you also in the past have been part of the youth rally and you've done service learning. I know Cole, you've been involved in some of that. I've seen some of the posts and things that you guys have been engaged in. But you both have something in common. You talked a little bit about injuries. And so talk about most people come in and talk about all the success that you have. And I want to share a little bit about that. You're the all-time leading scorer at Southwest and assist leader. I think you just accomplished that this weekend. And I know you don't do that all alone. You're very humble and want to share that with your teammate and coaches. But what's that like navigating through the highs and lows of being just a scholar and also being an athlete, Rylan?
Someone told me a quote that once stuck with me is that you're gonna have a lot of ups and downs, but it's how you handle adversity and how you handle your ups and downs that make you the person that you become. So I was saying through the good and the bad, you always have to. I say get up the next day and put in the work, and kind of just it kind of shows who you are, battling adversity through the highs and the lows.
Well, and it definitely has seen you take those on, and sometimes it's not easy. It's not easy sitting there watching other people do what you know that you've mastered and you've put the time and the effort and the work in. And so, Nicole, you talked about having a serious knee injury. I remember, that occurring. I wasn't there, but I remember, your father and, and having that kind of conversation and kind of just like, man, like she's done everything right. Like, talk about that journey and what that was like.
Yeah, so it was like my first game my freshman year, and I just remember I was gonna swing varsity that day,
Mm.
and I was really nervous because I'm just a freshman. So
Right.
in my head, I was like, "Oh, I gotta jump as high as I can. I gotta kill this ball," because it was just warm ups.
Right.
So I jumped up and came down. I completely blew out my knee, everything in it. So it was really a bittersweet pill to swallow because, like you said, I've been putting in the work like all summer long. I was in there, like I got my spot and everything, and in the moment of seconds, it was kind of just taken from me. It was hard because I had to get surgery. I was out for like a month from school, so I was behind in school my freshman year. And I think like your freshman year is really important, and people say that it might not be as important, but it is. So I was behind in school because of that, and it just kinda set me back from all my other pet players while they were getting really good. I was watching them get really good,
Right.
and I'm like, "Dang," like, obviously, I'm gonna support, but it was just hard being there because you're like, "Oh, you put in all this work," and, it's just kinda taken back from it, but then after that injury, it was like, "Wow, I wanna put all my time into volleyball, I wanna play it," just because you don't wanna take that time for granted, so yeah.
Wow, and I can appreciate both of you when you talked about, and Harris and I are both like shaking our head, like your first seconds,
Yeah.
and what you said is it's just in a second things can be taken away, and how much more now. I think both of you all are appreciating, all those moments that you get. You're on 93.7 The Ticket, bigger than the score, and we've got two scholar athletes, Rylan Smith and from Lincoln Southwest High School, and Nicole Haywood, who's at Lincoln High School, and they're just kind of sharing their journey and their moments. And so, Nicole, you talked about a couple things of just that preparation. What goes into it mentally as well as physically, as you kind of prepare for different moments, and whether it be, you never kind of prepare for injury, but what goes into the preparation for success, and then how do you handle when you're hurt?
Yeah, so I'd say, like, getting your mind right, kind of locking in. Um, when I did get hurt, it was kind of hard to, fight those negative thoughts. I feel like sometimes it kind of immersed me with them. I was kind of like, "Dang," I was mad at the world, kind of
Mhm.
like, "Why me?" But then kind of now taking a step back out of it, but just kind of like when you're losing a volleyball game, losing a game, losing a match, you wanna always stay positive because you never know, like, in a blink of an eye, things can change. So that's what I would just say, like, even, like, when I'm going and playing volleyball now, we had a tough season this year, so it was kind of like getting the girls prepared, staying positive always because it's kinda just getting me ready for the future and ready for other volleyball games in the future.
Wow, awesome. Rylan, kind of a switch, like, talk about just, mentorship. We've talked a little bit about success and injury and things like that, but what role does that play, and has that played in your, I'd say, career, but also in your life?
It plays a big part. I've had mentors, kind of like my mom and my stepdad, but I'm also trying to be a mentor for the youth too, because I know that the ideas people share with me, I want to spread down to the youth. And I know us high school athletes are always being watched by the young kids, so just putting a good example out there on the court, kind of showing them, you know, because I know when I was younger, I'd go to high school games and I'd look at the people on the court and I'd be like, I want to be like them. Or I'd always watch how they would act. So I'd say I kind of want to be that good example too.
So for those that are kind of wondering, I mean, I also always want to give like tangible examples. What does that look like? What are characteristics or things that you look for, and then you hope that you're putting out there for others?
How you carry yourself is a big thing. Your body language is huge. You got to have good body language. Your body language says it all on the court. Um, so you always want to have good body language and how you treat people, really.
Right.
Um, you don't want to be taunting other people or getting in their face. You want to treat people with respect, just like how you want to be treated.
Yeah, and I think that's important, not just on the court, but we talk about also just bigger than that score. It's like how you walk through the halls, how you're, when you're at your job or, in the greater community, because people do recognize you outside of that. And both the involvements that you are in, we always say kind of football, your face is kind of hidden. That's kind of the worst NIL opportunity, unless you're like the running back or whatever else. But they see you. Like they physically get to see all aspects of you, and so you can't hide your facial expressions with what you're doing. So, Nicole, a little bit like some mentors that you've had in your life.
Yeah, I'd say my parents are definitely one of the biggest mentors. They're taking me to all these volleyball tournaments. They've always been my biggest supporters. And then I'd also say Mr. Anderson over at Lincoln High School. He was my first African American teacher. He taught at Lux for a little bit and then jumped ships over to Lincoln High. So
Okay.
I was without him for a couple of years, but
You
we
said,
made our
"Hey,
way
I gotta
back.
find her. I gotta find where she at. Okay, that's where I'm applying."
Yep. So, and he's just done a really good job with equity at Lincoln High School. We've been doing like student-led panels and stuff like that. And I'd say that he's really been a big part of that, like inclusion up in Lincoln
Right.
High. So I'd say he's been a good mentor for me.
So again, a great point that you brought up, and we've heard it, throughout. Kind of representation matters. I mean, we had a Don Martinez, we've had Erica Kirkland talk about that with her cheerleading squad at Lincoln High. Naya Seymour at Southwest. I want to ask you both, kind of not just because it's Black History Month, but just because it's been part of your journey. So, what's it been like being an athlete of color? In Lincoln, Nebraska, and, at your respective school, whether it be club, whether it be all the things you've experienced. And so, Rylan, I want to start with you and your experience, and then Nicole, I want to have you kind of share.
I've always kind of tried to embrace the experience. Like I said, we're always being watched, so kind of putting that like good, that you're being seen out there, and take it as a good way and embrace it for the younger kids. But also um, to know that there was people before you and kind of have their respects for them too.
Yeah, and I think what you said is just that opportunity. I think sometimes people are like, oh, there's a lot of weight on your shoulders as you go forward. But you talk about those people that have come before you, the Albert Maxeys. If you think about, you go down Walter Payton, Jackie Robinson, Serena Williams. But there's also a lot of tremendous opportunities for success that comes with that. Nicole, what's that been like for you when you think about volleyball? My daughter plays, and I know what it's like going to a lot of those tournaments. It's there's not a lot of us
Yeah.
present, and it's not that we can't play and we don't have success, but what's that journey been like for you as a female?
Yeah, so in volleyball, there isn't that much diversity. I've gone from like club teams where I'm the only Black woman. So it has been a little bit hard. Like you said, representation does matter. So now that I'm at Lincoln High, like I was kind of immersed in a whole bunch of diversity on the volleyball team. Not as much as I probably would have hoped to, but still more than like I ever had growing up. So it kind of just gave me more of like I was kind of in my comfort zone a little bit more. Like I felt like I could make mistakes and not get taken out of the game right away. Where like maybe I might have done that at East and stuff like that. But I feel like I've been getting more opportunities over at Lincoln High School. Maybe that is the color of my skin and there's more people that look like me. But other than that, like honestly, like just giving the opportunity to have success. So.
Right. And I think that's one of the most important things is you always want to provide the opportunity for individuals to have success, and I think that's ultimately most important. Rylan, talk about like what your future looks like. What does that look like for you? You both experienced senior night and share a little bit like, was that surreal? Was that something you were like, I never thought that was going to come? And then you're walking out there and you're like, dang, I'm the person that I saw everybody else doing. It's like, that's never going to be me. And they're calling your name and your stats and your future. What was that like?
Yeah, it was surreal. It hasn't hit yet, but
I got video, so it's real. It's real. I got
It was
video.
crazy because I've been on the varsity basketball team since I was a freshman, so I've kind of watched, every single year, and throughout the years I was like, yeah, I still got a long ways to go. I still got a long ways to go, and then for it to finally happen, it was kind of crazy. But as of next year, I hope to plan to play basketball somewhere. I don't know where yet. Like I said, I kind of tore my meniscus last summer during the live period, so that kind of fluctuated things. But I'll know for sure more after the season's over.
Fantastic. And what are your I don't say academic, your job hopes and dreams, as well as complementing basketball?
I would say something in like the business and sports management.
Okay.
I love sports, and that's always kind of been a big part of me. And I kind of want to do something I love after high school and after the ball stops bouncing.
Awesome. Harrison and I will be your first client, so you can go ahead and get us on the roll. You get like 10% That's before taxes. So, Nicole, how about you? You shared a little bit that you signed and you're going to go to Hastings College and pursue, be playing volleyball there for Coach Alex. But what other things are you looking for?
Yeah, I'm really passionate in like early education or just
Okay.
education in general. I plan to major in education or double major in special education. Up at Lincoln High, we've been doing a program where we're helping the special need kids get into like sports. So we've been doing like PE classes with them every single day. So that's definitely played a big role in like what I want to do in the future.
Oh, that's awesome. Like I said, I mean, honestly, you talked about representation, you talked about that early period, and that's kind of the most important piece. So looking forward to seeing you back in Lincoln or wherever you're making that impact on education. As we get ready to go to break, I'm going to ask you all, what's 3 words or 1 sentence of advice that you would give in general to people that they just need to take with them from you? And we'll start with you, Nicole.
I'd say show up every day, whether that's at school, in the classroom, or just you want to get better at your sport. Show up every day, put in that work, and then the results are going to follow. So that's what I would say.
Love that. Love that. Go
Kind
ahead.
of following what she said is like the work will always show, and it doesn't even go for on the court. So it's like in the classroom, if you're struggling with math, if you keep practicing, the work will always show, and then result.
Hey, with that said, I want to appreciate both of y'all being here. Congratulations. I know your journey's not done. You still got some season left in the postseason. So looking forward to seeing you take a long run in that. So we'll be right back with our next segment on Bigger Than the Score on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hey there.
Hi, honey.
Uh-oh.
Remember we told Jamie and Mike about Liberty First Credit Union, how great their checking account and car loans are, the amazing service we get, and how I love being members?
Yeah.
Well, they took our advice. Jamie said how easy it was to move all their accounts and become members. Now they say they're banking with Liberty First Credit Union.
Learn more about being a member at libertyfirstcu.com. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking member.
Some just can all this. I can only hope that we'll be able to leave us to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
For disasters, we'll make sure we're safe. It is the best thing that like is
Protect /plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear, call me Papa Bear because I'm grilling up dinner. You get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha 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 ha.
Learn more at smokeybear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
I'm Brian. At 58, doctors told me I had the heart of a 37-year-old man. They told me that after my heart transplant surgery. Joker, here are some tips in case that happens to you. First, you have to quit smoking before you can get on a list for a transplant. So quit now and never feel sorry for yourself. I don't. I only feel sorry for that 37-year-old man.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT now. 784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
A wise nation honors and learns. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska Education Association. February is Black History Month, a celebration of the contributions that African Americans have made to American history in their struggles for freedom and equality. Knowledge is our strongest tool against injustice. Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Family, the Ad Council.
Hey, you got any gum?
Yeah, check my backpack.
What's this?
Oh, that's naloxone. It can reverse an opioid overdose. I decided to always keep it on me after my friend almost died. It saved his life.
I'm so sorry. That makes me want to have it with me too.
You totally should. Check the pharmacy. It was actually really easy to get and it's easy to use.
I definitely will. Thanks.
Paid for by the CDC. Sponsored by Nebraska with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Came to the building for the first time after the shooting. It was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together. It is the power of love.
LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels Ad Council.
I think it's just vaping. Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
One vape pod has nicotine as one pack of
My kid?
My kid
knows it's dangerous. 5.4 million American kids vape, and most think it's harmless. Get your head up. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org. That's talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
A Shiro's work is never done. You care for the house, the kids, and our future. We're so grateful for all you do. Now it's time to care for yourself and save a little more for retirement. A free 3-minute online check can give you the personalized tips you need to boost your retirement savings now. Visit AsiaRetirement.org/Shiro today.
A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Back to Bigger Than the Score with Peter Ferguson from Lincoln Public Schools on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score. This is Peter Ferguson with Peter Ferguson BHS LLC and Lincoln Public Schools. And Harrison just had a moment I didn't expect. I mean, it was pretty cool. Listener came in. You can probably describe it. I'm kind of
shout out to Scott. Scott's a long time listener, and he's really been into what DP's done for the station lately, which is kind of same thing that you voiced for, Pete, is just community, right? Like get the community involved, and you want to hear these stories. And essentially, Scott came in here and he's just appreciated the uplifting stories. Because it's weird. You look at high school students, especially high school athletes, or even if it's fine arts, you kind of forget how much you work in high school and like the injuries you go through that young. And for those guys to, like they say, show up every day, even if you're having a brutal injury, if you're not showing up, putting on a good face, those kids that Rylan was saying, look up to you. They're gonna be like, oh, so if you get hurt, you just kind of quit. You got to have a good example. And that's what those guys represented. And that's what Scott came in and said, thank you for. And again, just thank you to our listeners for letting these shows kind of happen. Because it really does lift up the community.
No, and without question, I just want to echo what Harrison said. Is just, thanks for those that are listening and providing those flowers while they live. And so, if you want to continue to do that and affirm or put some statements out there, I know you have the opportunity to come in on the text line or, also on the give a call in as well. And so I always get that, but the 402-464-5685, that's the Starter Heyman text line or Honda Lincoln hotline as well. So we're going to kind of keep things moving. I've got a individual that, it meant a great deal to me, and him and his family, Travis Turner. And I've got to say, he's giving AD a run for his money on his attire and apparel. The brother came in suited and booted this morning. So, Travis, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Pete.
No,
I'm glad to be here.
Hey, I'm excited to have you. Travis and my background has gone from when I started at Lincoln Public Schools. He was a mentee in a group, and he'll tell you a little bit about that, called Stocks Up. And so when we see each other, I forgot, I was remiss, but Stocks Up, my brother,
Stocks Up.
most definitely. And so, Travis, tell us a little bit about your journey, and has it always been in Lincoln? I know it's kind of unique with your family.
Yeah. My name is Travis Turner. I'm 27 years old. I moved to Lincoln in 2005 after Hurricane Katrina. Me and my family are originally from New Orleans, and my brother at the time and his wife, his wife was going to the University of Nebraska. She was finishing up her doctorate, and he had recently finished going to Wesleyan and getting his bachelor's degree in business. And we had needed somewhere to go, and they welcomed us here with welcome arms, and everything has been good here in Lincoln since then. been here about 17 years, going on 18 years, and I can't really complain. Everything has been a blessing. Everything has been a great opportunity, and the chances to evolve and become better have continually been in abundance here in Lincoln.
So you came here after her because of Hurricane Katrina,
Yeah.
and I think Harrison's a little younger than most of us, but I mean, he still remember like that was a big deal. I mean, in New Orleans and like your family, it wasn't by choice. It was because you had no place to go, and then came to Wesleyan. So what was that like at the time, and how old were you?
It was very interesting because I was 10 years old. I was just going into 5th grade when we came here to Nebraska, and like I said, I've never traveled outside of Louisiana then besides going to Houston for the storm and whatnot. And it was very much a culture shock,
Yeah.
a little bit less diverse from where I'm from originally, and seeing snow and the different weather conditions, that was totally another experience for us as well.
So-
Ironically, during that time, like that's Christmas before 2005, it snowed in New Orleans, and then the following summer there was a catastrophic hurricane.
Wow. So you went to 5th grade? Where did you go to 5th grade?
I went to McPhee Elementary.
McPhee, and then
Shout out to the Mustangs.
Okay, and then middle school.
Park Middle School.
Okay, and then high school.
Lincoln Southeast for high school.
Okay, so fantastic. So talk a little bit about the experience, just through your schooling. We met through an opportunity at Park, and kind of talk about that and just kind of that group. I mean, that was they were profiled in the newspaper and did but phenomenal things. You made an impact on me as well.
Oh no, most definitely. In 8th grade, we were introduced. It was me and a group of 5 scholars who I still keep in contact with today, who are doing well. They had us form an alliance that we would motivate each other, try to keep each other accountable, make sure we follow our dreams and goals, and try to make sure we have something going on outside of our own personal lives. Some of us were athletes, some of us were community members, some of us were music, artists, producers, working on stuff at the time. And it was just a good group of us to be a young group that was focused on trying to help each other out who went to middle school together. Mr. Ferguson helped us out a lot, him and Mr. Bill Bryant. Also, Mr. Oscar Rios, if I'm not mistaken. He was a part of the community development group as well. But we were just a group of scholars who were just trying to see what was next as far as high school and what challenges and things we can get accomplished for that.
And as you talked about it, we said stocks up earlier. Tell us the meaning and the importance of that.
The importance of the stocks up was just kind of like a little reminder to piggyback off of, staying focused and remembering that even if it's not always the greatest or everything's not going right, the stock is always up, because if you invest in yourself, you can't do anything but rise.
Man, that's right there on point. So you talked about mentorship and talked about a couple other things, but what are you doing right now? Because it's kind of been really interesting, but also fulfilling to see things kind of come full circle. What people were giving into you, you're now giving tenfold into other individuals.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I work at LPS as a paraeducator at Park Middle School.
And what is a paraeducator for those that may not know?
A paraeducator would be a teacher's assistant. We don't have the credentials to prescribe or assign homework and stuff like that. So we just try to work with individuals who may have specialized plans or programs to help them become more successful and function in school better.
Well, and I would say, even though you don't prescribe homework, what you do is you prescribe hope, you prescribe belief, you give some of those things, that individual attention towards success that each and every scholar needs. And so you have credentials in either. You're a professional. You're a professional in that classroom.
Independent Horizons with individuals who have various cognitive functions and developmental disabilities as well. So I work residentially doing that. I'll administer medications to the individual. I'll support, take them out to the community, make sure that they get a chance to see their family and are practicing things that they may not necessarily know that they should or shouldn't be doing.
So what got you interested in just honestly giving and investing back into other people?
I've always had someone invested in me, whether it was subconsciously or not. Someone was always looking out for me, giving me a hand, helping me out. So I felt like even though it's not something I may not wake up every day and say, hey, I'm going to go out and help someone, I just always felt that it was in me, and I've seen how it goes to be able to give a hand and know how it feels to be, in certain situations to where you need someone to help you out. So I just always felt like it sat with me, and I've always had opportunities to get in certain doorways and meet people to help me be in those positions.
Well, and as I think, just think back on you and just, what your family has been and just kind of, I don't want to say overcome, but what they've invested in, what they've triumphed with, that they've taken those opportunities. Earlier we heard somebody like show the work, like they not only showed the work, but they they showed up and showed out in
Most
so
definitely.
many ways. And so I just, I'm proud and appreciative. I don't get the oftentimes to say that
Oh, thank you.
of who you are and what we knew you would become for so many others. So when you talk about some of the things that you do at Park and just across the community, what kind of advice would you give to other people that might be searching on kind of what their purpose is?
Some of the advice I would give to anyone that's trying to figure out what they would want to do or how they can become a better person, I would say with how the world is going and how we're so focused on school and jobs and money, I would say you do what reconciles with you, what makes you feel good, that you knew if no one would pay you for it, or if you could get, the small amount of pay to get you by, that you would do regardless. And so trying to find that purpose outside of, hey, there's a dollar amount behind or there's a reward even behind what I'm doing. It's just I'm doing this because it's what I enjoy. And that would be one of the most solid pieces of advice I can give to someone, because that's the thing that takes time. And a lot of people can figure it out great. And the scholars and student athletes that we have here today, you guys have said everything that makes people great. You do the work, you show up, you keep a smile on your face, you have good body language. Those are all the keys and tools that will help people figure out that process. And the fact that you guys got that at a young age is very excellent. Whoever you guys have been getting guidance and advice and parenting from, they've been doing a great job.
No, that's well put. I mean, you're in the pews this morning. Whatever your faith might be, that may be.
That's how it kinda goes
You
with
got
it
the
too,
attire. You go ahead and it's getting it laid out to you this morning. With Travis Turner. Travis Turner is an educator for Lincoln Public Schools.
Future educator. I'm working on that.
You're an
mental part.
educator. You're an educator. If you're in the classroom, you're doing the stuff. There's a lot of different roles for education, and so I think sometimes we oftentimes think of the math, science, and English teacher, and shout out to them, the principals, assistant principals. But I think Harris and I can agree, educators come in all shapes and forms. That's the lunchroom person. That's the bus driver. That's the people who are on the maintenance crew. So I don't know how Harrison feels about that, but I think you are. You're saying just as much as an educator I've ever been around.
Yeah, absolutely. Those anyone in those buildings. I mean, being around you, if you have to be an example every day, I definitely can see you're in the educator, and like you said, that goes for anyone. It's driving the bus. You gotta, like you said, carry a face. As Travis was saying, you got to have that positive body language because everyone that's younger is looking up to you. So you got to have that positive body language every day.
Well, you said a couple things earlier and some words of wisdom and purpose, but what is some advice you would give parents today? We oftentimes ask that each week we get in here, and just like what are some nuggets that you would give to parents?
Invest, love unconditionally, and investigate as to why. Sometimes a lot of things go on in life that we may not know, and some things that happen in life that we aren't meant to know, we may not ever know. But just try to be sympathetic and understanding and invest. Whether that is, hey, I'm going to invest by being an example of getting up on time, or I'm going to invest by actually doing work, taking, the kid or spouses, wherever they need to go, and just constantly showing them the type of person you want to be.
Wow.
A lot of times we get to speak and we may not always do that, but as much as possible and as hard as life gets, because I know that part is that's the line where I like to draw. Is like life is hard, so try to make sure that it may not have to be the biggest things, but try to invest whatever you can into what you want to see grow.
So on the flip side, what's some additional advice? What's the advice you would give to scholars?
Advice I would give to scholars: just do the schoolwork. Honestly, if I'm being quite honest and real, do the schoolwork. It will pay off somewhere in the world, somewhere down the line. Being focused, showing up on time, doing the work, having opportunity will pay off for you. It doesn't seem like it, and it won't seem like it for a while, but it's the work that goes unseen.
So when you talk about doing the work, I think that's important for all of us. Because I think sometimes you'll see something online or be like, hey, come to this meeting and we'll turn 100 into 1,000 and this, that, and the other. And it's, you kind of, naturally you kind of gravitate towards that. And so what does that work look like? What does that look like for Travis Turner?
For me, it's just trying to better myself each day. I'm not a person I can say that it's the best with planning ahead in the future. I like to take things day by day. Obviously, you will want to set goals and sure you have things in mind that you stay focused and remember, and that's where your discipline will come in. But try to take things day by day, and just remember that tomorrow is going to be here whether you're prepared for it or not, or whether we're here or not. So just day by day, try to build.
Man, I love that. Want to give some shout outs to your family.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Me too.
I was waiting for that pecan pie or whatever else, Harrison. I mean, Mary Ellen, you got the business establishment, but we all know when you come to that home front.
Shout out
Shout out to Mary Ellen's, but man, your mom's good. She can throw it down.
Shout out Miss Turner. Shout out Sharon. If you guys ever see her around, you see my parents around, give them a shout out. They'll get you some gumbo.
See, we might be coming over right away, right afterwards. Just go ahead. Fitness fanatics can take care of themselves. Just get to hit the autoplay button. What does your future hold for you?
My future is just continued development. I would eventually like to have my own farm, subsistence farm. I'm not trying to do anything commercial. I would just like to be able to self-support myself and give back to the community. There's a lot of different guidelines, laws, rules, regulations set up to where a lot of these places can't just give stuff back or do this, but I would like to have something set up to where I can give to the community. I also do music. I am a music producer, audio engineer in training, I should say. So love to make music, whether that's hip hop, rap, R&B, gospel, whatever. Always been a huge fan of that. And then, getting that, finally having that credential. I would like to have a college degree. Although I realize and understand that you may not always need higher education in order to be successful by any means. But for me, that's always been a personal goal. I've seen my family members do it, and I just want to be a part of that higher education background as well.
I mean, the way you broke it down, and I have no doubt that you're going to achieve, everything that you set your mind to. You've already done that. Sports show, you like athletics? What's your home team from New Orleans?
From New Orleans, always Saints fan.
Okay.
Pelicans fan.
Who
all
dat?
day.
Who dat,
Who dat
man?
all day.
Okay.
I'm not really emotionally attached to sports, so it doesn't matter about the Atlanta Falcons or all those other guys. But
what about the Cowboys now?
Cowboys, I have nothing against the Cowboys.
They
can do their thing. I have no hate towards them whatsoever.
We definitely appreciate you. Hey, without question, I got Travis. You have been such a significant part of my life, but also so many others as an educator. So definitely, if you're looking for opportunities, lps.org. We definitely could use some more individuals like Travis. As I said, I'm mixing it up this month with Black History Month on just final quotes. If you haven't confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won even before you have started. Marcus Garvey. With that being said, again, I want to thank all our guests today. I want to thank Harrison, DP for the opportunity. You've been listening to 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score. I'm Peter Ferguson with Peter Ferguson BHS LLC and with Lincoln Public Schools. See you next Sunday.